arrow function is a new feature introduced by ES6. Compared with the traditional function, arrow function has a more concise syntax and offers us more shortcuts. It can improve our development efficiency and give our program a cleaner look. Before you start learning anything about the arrow function, just remember it is not completely the same as a traditional function, and it cannot completely replace a traditional function either. You'll learn more about this in later lessons. First, let's take a look at the syntax of arrow function. If we want to create a traditional function, we first type the keyword function. Then we put a set of parentheses and curly brackets behind it. The parentheses are for declaring arguments, and curly brackets for storing function bodies. With arrow functions, things are basically the same. Arguments are still declared in the parentheses, and the function body is still stored inside the curly brackets. But the keyword function is no longer needed, and we need to connect the parentheses and curly bracket using an arrow. The arrow is made of an equal sign and a right bracket. Arrow functions are anonymous. We name it by assigning it to a variable. If you only have one argument, you can skip the parentheses. The curly brackets are also optional if your function body only includes one line of code and you want to directly return that line. We have a traditional function here, say. It has one argument and returns a one-line string. Let's convert it into an arrow function. Because there is only one argument, the parentheses are optional. We directly put message on the left side of the arrow. The return string only occupies one line, so the curly bracket is also optional. Arrow functions are anonymous. We name it by assigning it to a variable. Now we can invoke the arrow function using the variable name as function name. If your function body has more than one line of code, then the curly bracket is necessary. But adding the curly brackets will also shut down the auto-return feature. We can see the result has become undefined. To get the previous result back, we need to return manually. You might be wondering, what if I need to return an object but still want to keep the auto-return feature? In that case, just wrap the object with a set of parentheses. Now we have the returned object. When you have 0 or more than one function argument, keep the parentheses. For example, this function needs two arguments, brand and model. We need to put them in the parentheses. Arrow functions also allow you to set default argument values.